Have you ever wondered what your final years will really look like? We all carry an image in our hearts, a vision of growing old surrounded by love, comfort, and familiar faces. We imagine our children checking in on us, our spouse by our side, and the warmth of family filling the empty spaces of time. But what if that vision is just an illusion? What if, when the moment of greatest need arrives, you find yourself alone, waiting for a hand that never comes? It's an unsettling thought, one that many prefer not to dwell on. But reality does not wait for us to be ready. It arrives, unannounced, bringing hard truths that too many aging adults are forced to confront. People are busy. Life is relentless. And love alone is not always enough to keep people close. The National Institute on Aging warns that social isolation and loneliness are now at crisis levels among older adults, with devastating effects on both physical and mental health. Studies reveal that prolonged loneliness increases the risk of dementia, heart disease, and even premature death. And yet, despite these dangers, society continues to push the elderly to the margins, consumed by its own frantic pace. But here's the most heartbreaking part. The absence of loved ones is not always due to a lack of love. It's often a result of life's unrelenting demands. Children, once the center of your world, grow up, move away, and get swept up in their own struggles. Spouses, once thought to be lifelong companions, may leave through divorce, illness, or death. Friendships fade, promises are broken, and suddenly, the circle you once relied upon begins to disappear. And then, there's money, a force that shapes relationships in ways we seldom want to admit. Some elderly individuals, blessed with financial security, find themselves surrounded not by genuine care, but by silent calculations, relatives who linger not out of love, but out of inheritance expectations. Others, lacking financial resources, discover that without money to offer, they are no longer a priority. The unspoken reality is this: when financial security fades, so too does the illusion of unconditional support. The thought of facing old age alone is terrifying, but ignoring this reality is far worse. So, what can you do now to prepare? How can you ensure that you remain independent, secure, and emotionally fulfilled in your later years, no matter who stays or who drifts away? Stay with me until the end of this video, because today, we're going to uncover white heavy checkmark the harsh truths about aging that most people don't talk about. Truths you must prepare for before it's too late. White heavy checkmark why loneliness is a silent killer and how to avoid falling into its trap. White heavy checkmark how financial struggles tear families apart, and the steps you must take now to protect yourself. White heavy checkmark the shocking reason why your children may not be able to care for you, even if they want to. White heavy checkmark and most importantly, the powerful steps you can take today to secure your future, protect your dignity, and ensure that you are never left waiting for care that never comes. This is not just about growing old, it's about growing old on your own terms. It's about safeguarding your emotional, financial, and physical well-being so that you are not left powerless in the face of life's uncertainties. Because in the end, love is not always enough. But planning, preparation, and self-reliance can be. Let's begin. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I encourage you to click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest content. I'm eager to hear your thoughts on today's topic. If you enjoy the content, please comment 1 below. If it doesn't resonate with you, leave a 0. Your feedback is crucial as it helps me create better videos that align with your interests. Now, let's get started. We all grow up clinging to a beautiful illusion, a dream where family, love, and devotion form an unbreakable circle around us. We imagine our final days surrounded by those we cherish, their hands intertwined with ours, whispering words of comfort, their presence a testament to the love we've nurtured throughout our lives. But life, with its relentless pace and cruel unpredictability, rarely unfolds the way we hope. The harsh reality is that people are consumed by their own battles, careers that demand attention, children who need raising, obligations that cannot be ignored. And so, when the twilight of life approaches, when the body weakens and the soul longs for company, a painful question lingers in the air. Who will truly be there when you need them the most? The National Institute on Aging reports that a staggering number of older adults grapple with profound loneliness and social isolation. But loneliness is more than just an aching void in the heart. It is a slow, merciless thief of health and spirit. Studies show that chronic isolation increases the risk of dementia, heart disease, and premature death. Yet, despite these dire consequences, society marches forward, leaving many of its elders behind. Many of us assume, often naively, that our children will rearrange their lives for us, that our spouse will forsake everything to stand vigil by our side. But life does not pause, not even for love. If we rest our expectations too heavily on this belief, we may find ourselves crushed beneath the weight of bitter disappointment. It isn't about questioning their love, it's about understanding the cruel constraints of reality. I am reminded of a man, frail and gravely ill, lying in his bed with eyes that had once held such vitality but now carried only quiet resignation. His wife loved him deeply, yet life's demands were unrelenting. Her job, the very thing that had kept their household running, would not wait. She had to leave him, day after day, to fulfill obligations beyond her control. And so, in his weakest moments, he found himself alone, staring at the ceiling, waiting. When the end finally came, his last words to her were not of anger but of quiet sorrow. "I was dying, and you went to work. You left me here alone." Those words followed her like a ghost long after he was gone. Not because she had not loved him, not because she had abandoned him by choice, but because she had no other option. Life's cruel demands forced her hand, and regret became her eternal companion. And this man's story is far from unique. Speak to any aging adult, and you will hear the echoes of similar tragedies. Promises made, but reality interfering. Loved ones swearing to be there, only for responsibilities, exhaustion, and obligations to intervene. We all want to believe that love alone can defy time, but life teaches us otherwise. And then, there's money, a force that shapes relationships in ways we seldom want to admit. For some, financial security is a double-edged sword. It keeps people close, but not always for the right reasons. Some elders find themselves surrounded not by genuine care, but by silent calculations, relatives who linger, waiting, watching, ensuring their place in the will. Others, lacking financial resources, discover that their presence is not enough to keep people near. The weight of caregiving, medical expenses, and emotional strain becomes too much for those who would otherwise stay. The painful truth is that love alone does not guarantee unwavering presence. People are flawed, life is unforgiving, and the world rarely stops spinning for those in need. So, as we navigate the journey of aging, we must ask ourselves, if love is not enough, what will be? How do we prepare for a future where we may stand alone, longing for the warmth of a hand that may never come? It is a sobering thought, but one that must be faced before it is too late. A groundbreaking study published in Mary Family magazine sheds light on a painful yet undeniable truth. Financial stress is a silent but powerful force that fractures families, straining even the strongest of bonds. Money, or the lack thereof, has a way of exposing the deepest vulnerabilities in relationships, often in the most heartbreaking ways. This harsh reality often remains hidden, simmering beneath the surface, until tragedy strikes. A severe illness, an unexpected disability, or the slow but relentless decline of old age. Suddenly, the weight of medical bills, long-term care costs, and dwindling savings becomes impossible to ignore. When resources begin to run dry, or when some family members see no financial incentive to remain involved, the emotional foundation that once held a family together starts to crack. Bonds that were thought to be unshakable weaken, and a painful truth emerges. When the money disappears, so too does the pretense of unconditional support. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. It is deeply agonizing to realize that love alone is not always enough to keep people close. And yet, labeling everyone as selfish does little to ease the pain. The reality is far more complex, one woven with the relentless pressures of modern life. Many adult children are drowning in their own financial struggles, crippling debts, mortgage payments that seem insurmountable, childcare costs that never end, and job responsibilities that demand every ounce of their energy. It's not that they don't care about their aging parents, it's that they are often too overwhelmed to be fully present. The heart may ache with guilt, but the hands remain tied by obligations that cannot simply be ignored. An often overlooked truth is that children do not remain in their parents' arms forever. They grow, they leave, and they build lives of their own, sometimes in different cities, different states, even different countries. Distance is not always a choice, but a necessity. A revealing study conducted by the Pew Research Center found that more than half of adult children live more than an hour away from their aging parents. This geographical separation is not an indication of indifference, but a stark reality of modern life. Families are no longer anchored in one place. Careers, opportunities, and economic demands scatter them across vast distances. The love remains, but physical proximity is a privilege not everyone can afford. Another heartbreaking challenge that older adults face is the growing prevalence of late-life divorce. According to recent U.S. Census Bureau data, divorce rates among seniors have surged, leaving many aging individuals without a lifelong partner to share their golden years. The person they once envisioned growing old with, their source of emotional support, their caregiver, their confidant, is suddenly no longer there. This unexpected solitude can be both terrifying and disorienting. We assume, often naively, that our spouse will always be by our side, caring for us in sickness and in health. But relationships evolve, and sometimes they break apart. Remarriage, blended families, and shifting priorities can completely alter the family dynamic, leaving some elderly individuals feeling like an afterthought in a life they once felt secure in. Beyond financial struggles and broken relationships, another silent suffering grips the hearts of many elderly individuals: the paralyzing fear of becoming a burden. This deep-seated anxiety is a wound that festers in silence, an invisible weight pressing on the souls of those who feel they have outlived their usefulness. They hesitate to ask for help, not wanting to be pitied or seen as a financial drain. They struggle with everyday tasks, yet they force a smile, insisting they're managing just fine. But beneath the surface, they are drowning in loneliness. This self-imposed isolation creates a vicious cycle, one where shame and pride keep them from reaching out, even when they need help the most. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, this fear of being a burden contributes to the alarming rates of depression among older adults, leading many to retreat further into solitude, convinced that their pain is theirs to bear alone. And so, they suffer in silence, watching, waiting, hoping that someone will notice their fading presence before it's too late. Yet, amidst all these struggles, one undeniable truth remains: our health is our greatest asset. As we age, maintaining physical strength and mental clarity becomes more critical than ever. If you are fortunate enough to still have mobility, strength, and sharpness of mind, cherish it. Nurture it. Because everything can change in an instant. A sudden illness, an unexpected fall, a prolonged hospital stay, these moments can steal away one's independence overnight. It is in these times of vulnerability that the ability to care for oneself becomes a lifeline. Regular health checkups, a nutrient-rich diet, and even light physical activity can be the difference between a life of autonomy and a life of dependence. Something as seemingly simple as a 20-minute walk each day is not just exercise, it is an act of self-preservation. That short stroll under the sun can improve circulation, boost mood, and remind the body that it is still alive, still capable, still deserving of care. The power to maintain independence, for as long as possible, lies in these small, consistent habits. And in the end, it is not just about living longer. It is about living well, with dignity, with strength, and with the unwavering belief that our later years still hold value, purpose, and meaning. Planning for the future, securing peace, dignity, and connection in your later years. The future isn't just an abstract concept. It's a reality that arrives sooner than we expect, and how we prepare for it can mean the difference between security and uncertainty, between dignity and dependence. Planning ahead isn't merely about accumulating savings or selecting an insurance policy. though both are undeniably crucial. It's about safeguarding your emotional and physical well-being, ensuring that when the tides of aging inevitably shift, you are not left feeling powerless, isolated, or at the mercy of others' availability. Financial experts emphasize that individuals who proactively prepare for early retirement and establish an emergency fund often experience significantly less stress, fewer sleepless nights filled with worry, and greater confidence in their ability to navigate life's uncertainties. Knowing that you have a financial cushion can provide an immeasurable sense of relief. It allows you to breathe, to focus on living rather than simply surviving. One of the most profound aspects of financial preparedness is ensuring access to quality care when you need it most. Setting aside funds for in-home assistance or assisted living can be a game changer. It grants you autonomy, preserving your right to choose where and how you receive care rather than being forced into a situation dictated by financial limitations. It offers a safety net, a guarantee that, should family members be unable or unwilling to provide full-time care, professional support is readily available. And perhaps most importantly, it minimizes the all-too-common fear of becoming a burden, of feeling like an obligation rather than a cherished presence in the lives of those we love. But financial planning is only one piece of the puzzle. A clear will and legally binding healthcare directives are gifts of love, not just for yourself, but for those you leave behind. These documents eliminate ambiguity, prevent family disputes, and ensure that your later years unfold according to your wishes rather than the assumptions or conflicts of others. Estate planning isn't an exclusive privilege for the wealthy. It's a vital act of responsibility for anyone who wants to spare their loved ones unnecessary stress and confusion. However, even the most carefully crafted plans cannot ensure that the people you expect to stand by your side will actually remain there. This reality is one of the most painful truths of aging, one that we often refuse to acknowledge until life forces us to. Loved ones, no matter how deeply they care, have their own lives, their own obligations, their own struggles. Children grow up and become consumed by careers, marriages, and personal challenges. Spouses may pass away or face health battles of their own. Friendships shift. People drift. And though we wish it weren't so, the brutal reality is that life moves forward, sometimes without us in its orbit. Yet, accepting this truth, while undeniably painful, can also be profoundly liberating. When you stop expecting certainty from others, you begin to cherish the relationships that prove themselves through action, not just words. Sometimes, the people who will walk beside you in your later years are not the ones you originally counted on. It may be a warm-hearted neighbor who notices when you haven't picked up your newspaper, a church friend who insists on driving you to your doctor's appointments, a kind caregiver who grows to understand your moods, your humor, your stories. These unexpected connections can blossom into some of the most meaningful relationships of your life. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. The thought that your spouse, children, or longtime friends might not always be there is unsettling, even heartbreaking. But recognizing this reality now gives you the power to prepare. Instead of placing the full weight of your emotional and physical needs on 1 or 2 family members, consider casting a wider net. Strengthen your ties to your community. Engage with local groups, volunteer organizations, or hobby clubs where support can form naturally over time. Cultivate friendships outside of familial bonds, because sometimes, the most reliable companionship comes from those who choose to be there rather than those who feel obligated to stay. We cannot ignore the emotions woven into this topic. The idea that those we love most might not be there in our greatest time of need is gut-wrenching. Yet, when we open our eyes, we see this scenario playing out far more frequently than we care to admit. Aging parents left alone while their children juggle demanding careers. Widows and widowers navigating life without their lifelong partners. Elderly individuals living in silent isolation, waiting for phone calls that never come. But rather than succumbing to despair, we must take proactive steps to build a safety net, not just financially, but emotionally and socially. A strong, vibrant social network and an independent lifestyle won't guarantee that loneliness never knocks at your door, but they will ensure that if it does, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's a painful but necessary truth. Support does not automatically come just because of blood ties or shared history. People move, financial strains arise, shifting social norms change priorities, and the pressures of daily life can pull even the kindest souls away. Love alone is not always enough to keep relationships close. One of the greatest fears of aging is feeling like a burden, of watching loved ones hesitate before answering your call, of sensing that your presence is an inconvenience rather than a joy. But sometimes, open and honest communication can prevent misunderstandings. If you feel forgotten, speak up. If you fear becoming an obligation, express your desire for independence. Maintaining your autonomy, financially, emotionally, and socially, will not only bring you peace of mind, but will also preserve the dignity and self-respect that every person deserves in their later years. At the end of the day, aging with grace isn't just about having money in the bank. It's about having people in your life who genuinely care, regardless of their last name. It's about fostering relationships that are rooted in mutual appreciation, not obligation. It's about knowing that when life surprises you, as it inevitably will, you have the strength, the resources, and the emotional foundation to handle it with resilience and grace. You are not just planning for the future, you are taking control of it. So now that we've uncovered these hard truths about aging, what have you learned? What will you do differently to prepare for the future? Physically, financially, and emotionally? Will you start building a stronger support system beyond just family? Will you take steps to protect your financial independence so you never have to rely on others? Or perhaps you've realized the importance of nurturing your health now so that you can maintain your autonomy for as long as possible. Let me know in the comments below, what is the one thing from this video that resonated with you the most, and how will you apply it to your life? Your insight might just inspire someone else to take action before it's too late. And if this video gave you valuable knowledge and a new perspective, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. By doing so, you're not just supporting this channel, you're helping spread awareness about an issue that affects every one of us. Thank you for watching, and remember, the best time to prepare for the future was yesterday. The second best time is now. See you in the next video.